Whew. Thank God no one's ever asked me to fake a masterpiece. Hi, and welcome to Chi Chi's Cinema Club. My name's Chinwei, aka Chi Chi, and I love going to the cinema. On this channel, I don't only review new films, I ask if they're actually worth the trip. Today, I'm asking if the film, The Christophers, is worth the cinema trip. The film The Christophers is about a woman, Laurie Butler, played by Michaela Cole, who's down on her luck and is a talented artist. Laurie is offered the job by the children of a once famous artist, Julian Schuyler, to pose as his assistant and complete a series of unfinished paintings called The Christophers. The kids' motivation is that the paintings could be worth millions and they want to, of course, get their money. We watch as Julian's working relationship develops with Laurie while she attempts to complete the paintings. The artist Julian is played by Sir Ian McKellen, and the children are played by James Corden and Jessica Gunning. Now, the audience vibe for this film, it's a dark comedy with an art theme, and I would say that this is for people who like to see how human relationships are complicated in general, in that there are subtle layers to it. So I think that many people can relate to this. It felt more like an adaptation of a theatre play. However, I did some research on the film and it is actually an original film script. I think I got this feeling as it had a very small cast and there were very few locations, which is like how a theatre play film adaptation normally works. There were some laughs, especially as Julian did a side hustle of sending video greetings to people who had paid for them, which, yeah, definitely was fun to see. I like the gentle pace of the film, and I think it's much more what I would call a measured study of a relationship film. You have to look at the detail in this film, so it's definitely something you have to engage your brain with to understand the nuances. I think that was very clever. This was definitely a film where you could slow down and watch the drama unfold as an engaged viewer. Now, in terms of what stayed with me, actually, the first thing was Ian McKellen's performance. His acting skills were fantastic for his long monologues he delivered in the film. Now, for a guy getting on in years, he delivered a performance that would shame people half his age. You were absolutely invested in his character. You wanted to know what would happen. It's fascinating that as people get older, if you have children, you start to think about how you would act if you know that you've got all this valuable stuff, but they don't particularly love you. They just love the value of the things that they may inherit. So that for me was an interesting angle and a story. Also, what's unusual for me is that I wanted to see this film again because I feel like I missed some Easter eggs. There was just something about the way it was shot. I feel like I needed to see it again to catch what, such and such said and if there's something I've missed. As I said, it's such a beautiful film to talk about the power of art and the power of memories. So, absolutely, it's something that stayed with me. Also, what stood out to me was the film's pace. I loved it. It was just right. I loved the plot. The plot was simple. It was like, going and getting creating these whole series of fake paintings. But I liked the twist that happened in the way the relationship changed. I liked the fact that there were not too many characters. It's essentially it was just four characters, which is unusual for a movie. Normally, you get a lot more characters. There were extras, yes, and you got to learn a little bit more about Michaela's character when they do a scene in her where she lives. But it was just fantastic casting. There's something to be said when there's minimal casting. So in this circumstances, it worked really well. The only weak link was the children that were played by James Corden and Jessica Gunning. I did feel they played it a bit more hammy than what I was expecting, and it did detract from the film's pace. Yes, you've got children, and yes, they can be scheming, but they played it like pantomime villains almost. So yeah, there was definitely a sort of strange segue away from the film. You start to think, did this even need to be included? However, they did, otherwise the film would not have made sense. In terms of the big screen test, this is definitely a film that I would say you need to go and see in the cinema. It's unusual, and I know that this is a film that's currently battling at the same time. You've got big budget films like The Devil Wears Prada 2, Michael, and Mortal Kombat. I love this as it was a good casting of Ian McKellen and Michaela Cole. I think it worked. It really worked well. It was good fun, it was different, and I think sometimes we have to challenge ourselves by seeing movies that don't always have big budgets but are still challenging. So, yes, absolutely worth the time to go and see it. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this movie review, give it a thumbs up. If you like the films the way I do, please subscribe. I do these films reviews weekly, so I hope to see you again, and I'll save you a seat.